Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a king called Ado and his queen, Run, who were desperate to have a child. After years of trying, their prayers were finally answered, and they were blessed with a healthy baby boy. The entire village rejoiced and celebrated the birth of the royal child. But little did they know that this child was destined for a terrible fate. A few days after the baby's birth, the village priest came to the palace to reveal a prophecy that sent shivers down everyone's spine. The prophecy stated that the newborn prince would sleep with his mother, marry her, and kill his father. The villagers were horrified and devastated by this prophecy. The king and the queen were terrified and did everything in their power to avert this horrible prophecy from coming to pass. They couldn't believe that their precious child would bring such destruction upon their family. In an attempt to avert the prophecy, King Ado decided that the young prince must be killed. The queen, heartbroken and sorrowful, begged her husband to spare the baby's life, but he was adamant. He believed that by getting rid of the child, he could prevent the prophecy from being fulfilled. The palace chief guard, named Mamul, was instructed to take the baby to the evil forest and kill him there. Madol took the baby and journeyed to the evil forest to carry out the king's command. Upon reaching his destination, Masil took out his cutlass, and as he was about to slaughter the baby, his eyes caught the baby's beautiful face, looking so innocent and unaware of what was about to befall him. Masil got cold feet and couldn't bring himself to kill such a harmless soul. Instead, he decided to abandon the baby in the evil forest, leaving wild animals and beasts to devour the child. But the gods had other plans for this child. The next morning, as fate would have it, a kind hunter from a neighboring village found the baby while hunting in the forest. The hunter took the baby in and raised him as his own son. The hunter and his wife loved the baby as their very own and named him Wiri. As Wiri grew, it became evident that he was no ordinary boy, for he possessed unparalleled strength and intelligence, which earned him a reputation among the villagers. As Wiri grew up, he became known as a fierce warrior. His adoptive father trained him in the art of warfare, and he quickly became one of the best in the land. He also learned the ways of the forest and became an expert at hunting and tracking. With his skills, Wiri helped defend his new village against invaders and even led successful attacks on neighboring villages. All the while, Wiri had no idea of his true identity. He never knew he was adopted and had no knowledge of the prophecies surrounding his birth. As the years went by, his adoptive father passed away, and Wiri became the leader of the village. Under Wiri's rule, the villagers prospered. He led his people to victory in many wars, and soon his village became one of the most powerful in the land. However, during one of these numerous wars, he led an attack on a kingdom called Ai. Wiri and his army waged war on this kingdom for days, and finally conquered it on the 7th day. Wiri slaughtered the king, who refused to submit to his authority, and married the king's beautiful wife. Wiri then merged all the kingdoms and villages he had conquered with his army. He named the merged kingdoms Tade and crowned himself the king and emperor over the entire empire. Wiri, who possessed great leadership skills, ruled the kingdom with ease, and the people of Tade began to adjust to his reign. But as months passed, strange things began to happen in the kingdom. All the village rivers turned to blood. A plague of leprosy struck some villagers, and many other evil occurrences took place. Wiri was puzzled and wondered day and night why all these calamities had come upon his kingdom. One afternoon, the Efa priests were summoned to the palace. The tribe chiefs and the queen were also present. King Wiri asked the priests to inquire from the gods why they had chosen to forsake the kingdom of Tamid. The priest then revealed to the king what the gods had told them, saying, "My king, the gods are angry. A certain family in Tamid kingdom has committed a taboo." Wiri impatiently said, "What taboo was committed, and which family is guilty of this crime?" The priest replied, "The taboo committed is incestuous, a son sleeping with his mother, his birth mother. This the gods have revealed to me." King Wiri, boiling with anger, swore that he would kill the whole family involved in this sacrilege, starting with the son partaking in such an unholy act. Wiri then asked the priest how they could identify the family involved. The priest answered, "It is you, my king. You have brought the reign of sorrow over your people." King Wiri, filled with rage, pulled out a cutlass and was about to strike the priests while shouting, "How dare you tell a lie against your king? How dare you?" But Pharaoh the priest continued, "The gods cannot lie, my king. You are the man that has brought doom upon the kingdom of Tamid. You slept with your mother, and because of this unholy act leading to a taboo pregnancy, the gods have turned their backs on us." Wiri began sweating profusely, looking very confused as he searched his mind for answers. His new wife, the former Queen of Ai, rushed to the king and checked the back of his hair. After checking behind his ear, she immediately let out a loud scream. "I am finished! I am finished!" she shouted. She fell to the ground and said, "You shouldn't be alive. How can this be happening?" With everyone looking confused, the queen continued, "You are my son. We tried to avert this prophecy. Your father and I tried everything." Everyone seated was stunned, and one of the chiefs asked the queen what she meant by her words. Unknown to all, the queen was the same Queen Run, wife of King Adiku, who had been warned of the evil prophecy regarding their newborn baby. The prophecy foretold that their son would kill his father, sleep with his mother, and marry her. Queen Run narrated in tears every detail of the 27-year-old prophecy, and how she and her then-husband had tried to avert it by killing the child, who was now obviously King Wiri. Every single part of the prophecy had come to pass. Wiri had killed his father, Adiku, the king of Ai, who refused to surrender when his kingdom was conquered by Hiri. Wiri had also married and slept with his mother, thinking she was merely the beautiful wife of the deceased king. To make matters worse, he had impregnated her. Realizing the gravity of what had happened, the room fell into a stunned silence. With the full weight of the prophecy now clear, the queen, who was also Wiri's mother, was overwhelmed with shame and decided she would end her life. She couldn't bear the thought of what had transpired between her and her son. "It is a taboo," she thought repeatedly. "Oh, it is a taboo." Filled with despair, she left the meeting and headed to her room, where she picked up a knife and stabbed herself. King Wiri was consumed with self-loathing. He was shocked to his core by the revelation of his tragic fate. The weight of his actions and their consequences pressed heavily upon him. He couldn't believe he had caused such destruction in his own kingdom. His mind flashed back to his earlier vow, to kill the family that brought calamity to his kingdom, starting with the son who committed the taboo. As king, Wiri knew his word was law, and his decrees had to be carried out without fail. This meant that he too must face the consequences of his own pronouncement. There was no turning back. With this grim realization, King Wiri retired to his chambers and poisoned himself, choosing death as a means of atonement for the chaos he had brought upon his people. The moral lessons from this tragic story are profound. One key lesson is the consequence of trying to evade destiny. King Adu and Queen Run tried desperately to prevent the prophecy from coming true, but their actions ultimately facilitated its fulfillment. This tale underscores the inevitability of fate and the dangers of attempting to alter it. Another important lesson is the value of empathy and mercy. If Wiri had shown mercy to King Adu, his father, he might not have killed him and, by extension, regretted his actions later. This demonstrates how acts of kindness or cruelty can set the course of one's life. The story also highlights the power of pronouncements and utterances. If King Wiri had not angrily vowed to kill the family involved in the taboo, he might have lived to rule his kingdom in peace. Rash decisions and words, especially from those in power, can have irreversible consequences. This tale serves as a poignant reminder of the interplay between fate, free will, and morality. Thank you for reading. Make sure to subscribe.